Hi, I'm Davis Hammett with Loud Light, and right behind me is Kansas Secretary of State Chris Kobach's office. He's in Washington, D.C. this week for the Presidential Advisory Commission on Election Integrity. I work on voting issues in Kansas, and I want to show you what the laws he has put in place here have done. Here's how many adults are in Kansas by each year of age from 18 to 84. Here's voter turnout in 2016. As you can see, millennials mostly forfeit their political power by not voting. Looking at voter registration, one thing stands out. It's the free fall starting with 22-year-olds. This is in part because 18 to 22-year-olds came of age under Kobach's crown legislative achievement, the SAFE Act. The biggest part of it was that it began requiring proof of citizenship, something like a birth certificate, passport, or naturalization documents. The caveat to this was that everyone before January 1st of 2013 that was registered to vote was grandfathered into the system. So proof of citizenship actually only applies to new registrants, which are, of course, mostly young people or people who have recently moved here. Fish v. Kobach found that as of March 31st, 2016, over 22,000 Kansans that registered at the DMV were either purged from the voter rolls or in suspense for lacking proof of citizenship. The courts ruled this violated the National Voter Registration Act of 1993. League of Women Voters vs. Newby found registering to vote with a federal form to be protected from the SAFE Act's proof of citizenship requirement. In response to these cases, Kobach made it so that the DMV and federal form registrants could only vote in federal elections, not state or local elections. In Belinkie v. Kobach and Brown v. Kobach, the courts found that Kobach had usurped the authority of the Kansas legislature and had no authority to establish such a two-tiered system. On October 2nd of 2015, the voter purge began, where after 90 days, if you didn't submit proof of citizenship, you would be deleted off of the voter rolls. Meaning if on the 91st day you sent in your proof, they wouldn't have a record that you ever even tried to register. While the lawsuit stopped the purging of DMV and federal form registrants, it didn't stop for those registering online or using the state form. We found nearly 12,000 registrations purged and over 10,000 registrations in suspense on Election Day. If the ACLU hadn't won Fish v. Kobach, the amount of Kansans denied the right to vote because of the SAFE Act would have looked like this: well over 40,000. This analysis doesn't include the fact that the Secretary of State's online registration portal went down for an unknown amount of days. We found out that potentially hundreds to thousands of people's registrations were never processed, and there's no way to go back and quantify that. The SAFE Act was justified as a way to combat voter fraud, specifically fraud by undocumented immigrants. In 2015, Chris Kobach became the first Secretary of State in the nation to have the power to prosecute election crimes, and he tasked 3 attorneys with finding voter fraud. Over 2 years later, he's found 9 cases, 8 of which were citizens who voted in 2 states. The SAFE Act in no way hindered this, as they all had proof of citizenship. The single case of a non-citizen Kobach found was a man in the country legally who was going through the naturalization process and is now a citizen. Kobach often cites a research paper titled "Do Non-Citizens Vote in U.S. Elections" by Jesse Richmond. The problem is the author himself has stated that people are misreading our research and exaggerating our results to make claims we do not think our research supports. And the academics who produce the data it's based on, the Cooperative Congressional Election Survey, have debunked the paper showing that the variable of citizenship was misclassified. These scholars concluded that the likely percent of non-citizen voters in recent U.S. elections is 0. While we found few cases of voter fraud in Kansas, and virtually no cases of an undocumented immigrant voting, we know that we have disenfranchised tens of thousands of citizens from being able to exercise this right. If you found this information helpful, please like, share, and comment. Please make sure that you're registered to vote, that your friends are registered. Always double check your registration, as obviously some odd things can happen. If you're able, please consider donating so that we can continue doing this good work in Kansas. Until next time, thank you so much.